A Day in the Life, the final track on the Beatles' legendary Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band album, is often regarded as one of the band's most profound and complex songs. It is a collage of different sections written by John Lennon and Paul McCartney, blending surreal and mundane imagery to create an evocative narrative. The song begins with John Lennon's haunting reflection on a news story about the death of a young man in a car accident, which transitions into a series of observations about daily life. The first part paints a picture of the ordinary events and routines of an individual's day, juxtaposed with the extraordinary and tragic event of a sudden death, highlighting the fragility and unpredictability of life. Paul McCartney's section shifts to a more upbeat tempo, depicting an individual's morning routine, waking up, getting out of bed, and dragging a comb across their head. This mundane sequence underscores the repetitive nature of daily life, yet it is interspersed with whimsical and surreal elements, creating a dreamlike quality. John Lennon's voice in A Day in the Life is often described as haunting, ethereal, and deeply emotional. His delivery in the song is marked by a sense of detachment and introspection, which adds to the overall somber and reflective mood of the piece. Lennon's vocal performance features a dreamlike quality, enhanced by the use of echo and reverb, creating a distant and almost surreal atmosphere. This effect complements the song's theme of life's fleeting nature and the juxtaposition of the ordinary and the extraordinary. His voice carries a subtle vulnerability, conveying the gravity of the events described in the lyrics, such as the tragic news story and the existential musings on daily life. Lennon's ability to infuse his performance with both melancholy and a sense of wonder helps to elevate the song's emotional impact, marking it as a standout track in the Beatles' catalog. I'm going to talk about the music in another video. For now, let's dive into a detailed analysis of the literal and possibly subconscious meanings of the lyrics, and also a bit of a psychological analysis of the lyrics in the song A Day in the Life. Verse 1 is as follows. I read the news today, oh boy, about a lucky man who made the grade. And though the news was rather sad, well, I just had to laugh. I saw the photograph. Now let's break down the lyrics. John Lennon sings, I read the news today, oh boy. The literal meaning, of course, is that John Lennon is starting the song by reading a newspaper. As far as a psychological analysis, this line sets a tone of detachment, reflecting a passive intake of information. Subconsciously, it may suggest the overwhelming nature of news and events in the modern world. As many Beatles fans know, Lennon's lyrics were largely inspired by contemporary newspaper articles, including a report on the death of Guinness heir Tara Brown, who was a friend of his. The lyrics continue, about a lucky man who made the grade. This clearly refers to someone who has achieved success or recognition. The use of the word lucky indicates a sense of envy or disconnection from the success of others. It could also suggest the randomness of success in society. And though the news was rather sad, the news about the successful man had a tragic element. There's a juxtaposition of success and tragedy, hinting at the fleeting nature of fame and fortune. This line could also be interpreted as a commentary on the duality of public life. The lyrics continue, well, I just had to laugh. It's a weird line, isn't it? Despite the sadness, Lennon finds it amusing. Now this could indicate a defense mechanism, using humor to cope with discomfort or tragedy. As many Beatles fans know, when John Lennon found out about Stuart Sutcliffe's death, he couldn't stop laughing. It's not because he thought it was funny, it was a defense mechanism. The line also might reflect a sense of irony or disbelief at the absurdity of life. The verse then ends with the line, I saw the photograph, referring to Lennon seeing a photograph of the event in the newspaper. This line highlights the desensitization to tragedy through media. The photograph could also symbolize the media's role in shaping public perception. Verse 2 is as follows. He blew his mind out in a car. He didn't notice that the lights had changed. A crowd of people stood and stared. They'd seen his face before. Nobody was really sure if he was from the House of Lords. Now, let's try to figure out what those lyrics mean. he blew his mind out in a car. Now this is a reference to a fatal car accident, and the graphic imagery signifies sudden and violent death. It also represents the fragility of life and the abrupt end of success. Paul McCartney has said that the line refers to a man on drugs, and so it wasn't about death, but about a man who blew his mind out with drugs. The lines continue. He didn't notice that the lights had changed. So the literal meaning is that the victim was unaware of the traffic light change leading to the accident. This may suggest a lack of awareness or being consumed by thoughts. It could also symbolize missing critical signals in life leading to disaster. A crowd of people stood and stared. So we see onlookers witnessing the accident. This reflects human curiosity and the voyeurism in the face of tragedy. It could also indicate societal detachment and desensitization to others' suffering. They'd seen his face before, so the victim was a familiar figure. This suggests how the public is familiar with famous and noteworthy individuals. It might also reflect on the ephemeral nature of fame. Nobody was really sure if he was from the House of Lords, so there was ambiguity about the victim's identity. This indicates a disconnect between the public and the elite. It suggests that status and titles are ultimately inconsequential in the face of death. Verse 3 is as follows. I saw a film today, oh boy. The English army had just won the war. A crowd of people turned away, but I just had to look. Having read the book, I'd love to turn you on. Now let's talk about the individual lyrics and try to figure out what they mean. I saw a film today, oh boy. The literal meaning, of course, is that Lennon watched a movie. Psychologically, this continues the theme of passive consumption of media, not just with Lennon, but with everybody. The film itself might represent escapism or a break from reality. Let's talk about the phrase, oh boy, in John Lennon's lyrics. The song's narrative recounts a series of events, including a tragic car accident. And so the exclamation, oh boy, is a moment of raw reaction, capturing a sense of shock and disbelief at the news being described. It reflects the sudden, jarring nature of the events unfolding in the story. The casual, almost throwaway nature of oh boy contrasts sharply with the gravity of the news, emphasizing how easily shocking events can be absorbed into the routine flow of life. The phrase also adds an emotional touch, making the listener feel the immediacy and personal impact of the news. It's a moment of human reaction that draws the listener into the narrative, bridging the gap between the song's characters and the audience. At the time of its release, such expressions were commonly used in everyday speech, making the song feel contemporary and relatable. Oh Boy captures the zeitgeist of the 1960s, reflecting the informal, conversational style that was becoming popular in music and culture. And so Oh Boy is a small but powerful element that enhances the storytelling and emotional depth of a day in the life, showcasing John Lennon's ability to blend the ordinary with the extraordinary in his songwriting. The lyrics continue with, the English army had just won the war. So clearly it's a film about a historical war victory. This reflects national pride and the glorification of war. It could also hint at the futility of conflict and the passage of time. Some people think it's a reference to John Lennon's role in the film How I Won the War. A crowd of people turned away, so people lost interest in the war film. This indicates war fatigue or desensitization to war stories. It might also suggest a societal shift in values and interests. But I just had to look. Literal meaning is Lennon felt compelled to watch. But psychologically, this highlights individual curiosity or a need to confront uncomfortable realities. It reflects the internal conflict between engagement and detachment. He next sings, having read the book. And so literally, John Lennon had prior knowledge from reading a book. This suggests a deeper understanding or background knowledge influencing his view. It also indicates the difference between passive viewing and informed engagement. And now we move on to a very interesting line that's been spoken about for decades. I'd love to turn you on. This was not one of John Lennon's lyrics. Paul McCartney added this. So the literal meaning is a call to awaken or enlighten the listener. This line bridges the gap between mundane reality and a heightened state of awareness. It could imply a desire for collective awakening or a shift in consciousness. Now, the line "I'd love to turn you on" was reputed to be a drug reference, leading to the song initially being banned from broadcast by the BBC. John Lennon said that Paul had that line for a long while, and he was just looking for a place to use it, and they finally did in this song. McCartney explained that the line "I'd love to turn you on" was a nod to Tim Leary's phrase, quote, "turn on, tune in, drop out," end quote. Paul McCartney also once said, quote, "What we really wanted was to turn you on to the truth rather than just pot," end quote. The song then leads into the middle section, which was written by Paul McCartney. The middle eight was a nostalgic reflection of his youth, recalling riding the 82 bus to school, smoking, and attending class. Paul McCartney's vocal delivery provides a stark contrast to John Lennon's ethereal and haunting verses. McCartney's section, which serves as the bridge in the song, offers a more grounded and lively perspective. His vocals are delivered in a brisk, rhythmic manner, depicting the mundane routine of getting ready in the morning. This upbeat tempo contrasts sharply with Lennon's more languid and reflective delivery, adding a dynamic shift in the song's mood. McCartney adopts a conversational and casual tone in his lyrics, which describe everyday activities such as getting out of bed, combing hair, catching a bus. This tone makes the lyrics relatable and accessible, reflecting the daily life of an average person. McCartney's enunciation is clear and precise, making the lyrics easy to understand. This clarity contrasts with Lennon's more dreamlike and abstract delivery. The lyrics are as follows: "Woke up, fell out of bed, dragged a comb across my head, found my way downstairs and drank a cup, and looking up, I noticed I was late, found my coat and grabbed my hat, made the bus in seconds flat, found my way upstairs and had a smoke, and somebody spoke and I went into a dream." So let's back up and talk about the lyrics. "Woke up, fell out of bed" describes the morning routine. This mundane detail contrasts with the earlier surreal imagery. It symbolizes the cyclical nature of daily life. "Dragged the comb across my head." So obviously, literally, it's grooming oneself in the morning. It reflects routine and normalcy. It also suggests preparing oneself to face the day or society. "Found my way downstairs and drank a cup," about continuing the morning routine. This adds to the depiction of everyday activities, and it symbolizes grounding oneself in routine amidst chaos. "And looking up, I noticed I was late." So he realizes his tardiness. This creates a sense of urgency and disruption. It also reflects anxiety about time and societal pressures. "Found my coat and grabbed my hat," literally getting ready to leave. This highlights preparedness and routine, and it suggests gearing up to face the outside world. "Made the bus in seconds flat," literally catching the bus quickly. This emphasizes efficiency and urgency. It also represents the fast pace of modern life. "Found my way upstairs and had a smoke," literally taking a moment to smoke. This reflects a pause or break in the routine. It also symbolizes a moment of reflection or escape. George Martin, the Beatles producer, suspected that the line was a drug reference, recalling how the Beatles would discreetly smoke marijuana. McCartney later confirmed that drugs, particularly marijuana, heavily influenced the Sgt. Pepper album. "And somebody spoke, and I went into a dream." So literally, someone's words trigger a daydream. This suggests the power of words to transport or transform consciousness. It indicates a shift from reality to imagination. We then go into John Lennon's singing of the ethereal vocal interlude, which is one of the song's most iconic and evocative moments. This section occurs after Paul McCartney's upbeat middle part and serves as a transition back into Lennon's more introspective verses. Before I continue, kindly let me know what your thoughts are about this section. I refer to it as the ethereal vocal interlude. It could also be referred to as the haunting vocal passage or John Lennon's extended vocalization. These terms emphasize the distinct and atmospheric quality of John Lennon's extended vocalization within the song. The ethereal vocal interlude segment acts as a bridge between the contrasting parts of the song, shifting from McCartney's energetic depiction of daily routines back to John Lennon's contemplative reflection. The haunting quality of Lennon's vocalization helps to underline the emotional depth and surreal nature of the song. His vocal delivery is ethereal and ghostly, contributing to the dreamlike quality of the track. It creates a sense of suspension and anticipation, drawing the listener deeper into the song's introspective mood. This vocal section is enhanced by the use of studio effects, such as reverb and echo, which amplify its haunting quality. The engineering techniques employed by producer George Martin and engineer Jeff Emmerich add a layer of complexity and texture to Lennon's voice, making it sound otherworldly. The ethereal vocal interlude is not just a vocal filler, but an emotional high point in the song. It conveys a sense of longing and existential angst, resonating with the themes of life's fleeting nature and the search for meaning. This segment is accompanied by a gradual buildup of orchestral sounds, which culminates in the chaotic crescendo that follows. The combination of Lennon's vocalization and the rising orchestral tension creates a powerful and immersive sonic experience. Lennon's performance during this section is both intense and vulnerable. His ability to sustain the note and infuse it with emotion showcases his vocal prowess and artistic sensitivity. It is one of the most memorable and innovative moments in the Beatles catalog. The refrain is as follows: "I read the news today, oh boy, 4,000 holes in Blackburn, Lancashire. And though the holes were rather small, they had to count them all. Now they know how many holes it takes to fill the Albert Hall." So let's talk about the lyrics. "I read the news today, oh boy." This repeats the opening line. This creates a cyclical structure, suggesting a return to the beginning. It could indicate the repetitive nature of daily life and media consumption. 4,000 holes in Blackburn, Lancashire refers to potholes in a specific location. This line introduces a mundane yet oddly specific detail. It also symbolizes the imperfections and problems in society. And though the holes were rather small, so he's describing the size of the holes, this minimizes the individual impact of each hole. It suggests that small issues can accumulate to create significant problems. They had to count them all, literally the act of counting the holes, but psychologically, this indicates a bureaucratic or meticulous approach to problem solving. It also reflects the human need to quantify and control. Now they know how many holes it takes to fill the Albert Hall. Literally, he's relating the number of holes to a famous venue. This creates a surreal and whimsical image. It also suggests the absurdity of bureaucratic tasks or the intersection of the mundane and the grand. Now, many Beatles fans know that the song's final verse was inspired by a news brief in the Daily Mail, which, under the headline, "The Holes in Our Roads," reported that there are 4,000 holes in the road to Blackburn, Lancashire, or 1/26 of a hole per person, according to a council survey. Lennon struggled with the words for the final verse, until his friend, Terry Doran, suggested that the holes would fill the Albert Hall, which Lennon then used. And then we come back to "I'd love to turn you on," repeating the earlier refrain. This reinforces the desire to awaken or enlighten. It reflects the overarching theme of seeking higher awareness or transformation. This detailed analysis reveals the layers of meaning, from literal descriptions to deeper psychological and subconscious interpretations. The song juxtaposes mundane activities with surreal and profound reflections, creating a complex and thought-provoking piece. In essence, A Day in the Life is more than just a narrative of daily activities. It delves into the underlying emotions, the struggles, and the fleeting moments of joy that define human existence. The song's ambiguity and open-endedness allow it to resonate universally, making it a timeless reflection on the human condition. So, what do you think of the song A Day in the Life and its lyrics? How much of the song's meanings that I've discussed do you think John Lennon and Paul McCartney were consciously aware of? Kindly let me know your thoughts about this song and its lyrics in the comments below. Please like and share and subscribe to the show on whatever platform you are listening on. Kindly remember that I've written a bunch of books about the Dakota, Friar Park, and Tittenhurst Park. You can buy any of them on Amazon and other booksellers. Please check out the links below to see various ways to support my research and productions. Until next time, I wish you safe travels on all your journeys.